Every family tries to find that perfect balance between school, chores, and fun for their kids. Now, add video games into that mix, and sometimes it gets complicated.
Video games are becoming more addictive by the day, so how much is too much? We're investigating this issue. Our Mayor Kawash is looking into what takes it from fun to video game addiction. Mayor?
Aaron, that's the million-dollar question. How much is too much? Well, Pew Research tells us 91% of kids play some sort of video game. It could be on a phone, tablet, console, or computer. Point is, it's everywhere.
The creative mode, you can build whatever you would like.
Tyler Kerwicki is 13 years old. Like many kids around the world, Tyler loves playing video games. But thanks to his mom, video games are just a hobby, not an addiction.
I usually top him out at an hour a day, but I don't let him play video games every day.
Tiffany Kerwicki says her son has some development disabilities. He's still high functioning, but that's what led her down this path of restricting his game time.
I'm building a giant love sign.
But even without his disability, Tiffany still believes that some video games are detrimental to a child's development.
I think his counselor said that it was like cocaine for the brain. So the brain supposedly acts the same way as if you were using illegal drugs.
The crusher there as it's intercepted.
It's shocking. How could someone compare video games to cocaine? Well, that's where Tiffany's career as a social worker comes into play.
I heard it the first time, didn't believe it. It came up later in my training and then again in my master's program, and I thought, okay, I'm going to have to start looking into this.
Tyler isn't allowed to play any kind of violent video games. No Fortnite or Call of Duty. His mom allows him to play educational games or ones that force him to use his brain for creating and building things.
Red sheep.
Using his brain is the key here. He can't play those violent shooting games because Tiffany wants her son to reach his full potential.
If you don't use your muscles, if you know your bicep, for instance, if you don't use it, it's not going to develop to its full potential to help the body in the best way it can. So if you don't use the brain in the best way that you can, it doesn't develop right.
Tiffany says some of her research has shown that video game users can have underdeveloped brains. A study done by Science Daily backs that up. But it depends on the type of games played. In the article, Dr. Greg West says a certain amount of screen time with first-person shooter games can waste away the hippocampus, the center of your nervous system.
I understand what my mom says about the certain time limit.
It's all about balance for this family. Tiffany wants her son to have fun as long as other priorities are handled.
He's a kid. I want him to have those moments, but I want to make sure that he's also outside getting his hands dirty and learning real life skills as opposed to pressing buttons on a video controller.
That's the reality many families face across the U.S. In fact, 72% of American households play video games. But this is one example where a healthy balance comes to fruition.
So let's get the O right here.
Now you may think Tiffany's approach is just too much.
Washington's got the puck.
You may think there's no way I could take these games away from my kids. But in the end, this approach has given Tyler a different perspective.
At my school, some kids think that video games are easier than actually making friends. And I just very much disagree with that.
Tiffany says she's not sure when she'll allow Tyler to play more video games. She says it depends on how he continues to develop and handle the rest of his priorities in life.
So it looks like not all video games can have that negative impact.
That's right, and that's why her approach is kind of that way. She lets him play educational, kind of creative video games, but those first-person shooter games, those can be detrimental to your brain.
All right, so this was a really good look into how a family handles something like that, but there's more on the way, right?
Exactly. I want to give you guys a heads up about what we're talking about tomorrow night at 6. Our 3-part series continues with a jaw-dropping rehab center right here in Washington. We'll take you to Restart Rehab, where kids follow structured schedules to overcome this addiction. You won't believe what the place looks like and the shocking amount of money this addiction is costing some families.
Parents understand not to hand drugs and alcohol to their kids, but they don't understand that video games, for instance, can be very addictive.
We'll walk you through what steps Restart is taking to help all these kids suffering, and we'll also tell you how it may relate to the balance you're trying to find for your family.
Got to get